Thank you, Ms. Liggins, for having me here tonight. I'm Master Trooper Greg Hamlet. I'm with the Virginia State Police. I'm with their Motor Carrier Safety Division of the State Police, which, for lack of better terms, I'm the DOT guy. The guy on the side of the road checking a lot of trucks, crawling around under trucks. So you might see me here or anywhere along the road. I pretty much cover all of 3rd Division, which is everything from Mecklenburg County to Stanton, up the center of the state. So we get around everywhere. This is probably my favorite part of my job, is coming and talking to a bunch of people. It's a whole lot better to educate. I like that part about what I do now. I'm more of an educator than an enforcer, which is a whole lot nicer, and everybody smiles at you a lot of times. A little bit about me: I've been a trooper for 25 years, going on 26 years this year. Born and raised in Charlotte County. Moved to Mecklenburg as a trooper when I first got hired. Went to Lunenburg after that, and then 18 years ago I transferred into the Motor Carrier Division. Been here ever since. The master part of the trooper only means I live long enough to get here. Just a title. I get dressed like the rest of y'all every day, so nothing really special about me. My wife and my son are right there in the middle. I'll point them out. Mason's a member here at the barn, and he's really been enjoying coming up here and meeting all of y'all. We're going to talk about farm vehicles, and there's some new regulations coming out. I have got a couple of handouts here. If somebody wants to help me pass it out. I messed up. I only done 50, so I didn't realize I had as many people. But if you'll get one to everybody, if you want to take a picture of it with your phone, I'm going to go over them here in just a little bit. I'll go over at least one of them in a little bit. But this new farming regulation stuff come out a couple of years ago. The General Assembly was trying to get a hold on people abusing the farm use unregistered vehicles. And they made some progress with it. Of course, you know, several years ago, they were going to make it where everything that was farm use related was going to have to go to DMV and get this plate. I did several talks along with some of the other troopers throughout the state at some Farm Bureau meetings, and I could see some eyes when I was up there talking. I said, this ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen. And it didn't. There was some delegates, state senators in there, and I saw some ears getting bent, and I said, this is gonna change. So now it has changed. So now we're coming up on July 1 of this year is when this new law is gonna take effect. So I tried to create some slides, not to tie up a lot of your time, but just create some slides to show you how to determine whether your vehicle needs one or whether you can stay with a red and white or unregistered farm vehicle sign that you buy at Tractor Supply. So we're going to go through that a little bit. I'm extremely laid back. If you got a question or you need to get up or whatever, just I'm here for you. You know, you just feel free to do whatever you need to. All right. So we need to define what a farm is before we start. And the definition of a farm in Virginia Code is one or more areas of land used to produce, cultivate, grow, or harvest agricultural products. So basically the reason I bring this up is because it's, you know, a lot of people don't realize that a strand of barbed wire, a chicken, and a goat don't really qualify you as a farmer, okay? You gotta actually cultivate, grow, and harvest and actually produce something that's not just, oh yeah, I want a goat for a pet, now I can put farm use on everything and go to Tractor Supply. That ain't what the code's actually designed for. You know, I've stopped people before and they're like, oh, well, we're gonna start a farm. No, that's not what we gotta get into this here, what the code says. You gotta meet the definition. If you look at the bottom, it says a tree farm doesn't qualify as a farm unless it's part of a nursery or Christmas tree. Logging industries wanted to use farm use for years, okay? You can use it at sawmills. It meets certain things in and around the sawmill, but the logger is not harvesting the tree like a nursery. They're not pulling the root up, they're just cutting the tree off. So that's why that's in there in the code for that, is to, you know, so that doesn't get misunderstood either. So here's a few things, a list of items that agricultural products are covered under. You can see there, Something else about the farm use, it was, well, we lost that train of thought. Sorry. But anyway, the agricultural products and nursery plants, Christmas trees, viticultural, horticultural, livestock, poultry, or other farm products. Again, you don't see like forestry products listed in this list as a product. So vehicles used on the farm may be registered with DMV or remain unregistered. That's the way the new law is going to be. Well, I say registered, you can register it, or it's going to be a placard that we're going to go over in a few minutes about being still remaining unregistered. DMV issued plates are the F tag that you get from DMV. How many of you have a F tag that's the actual farm vehicle plate? Okay. Unregistered vehicles do not display DMV plates but have a sign that may say farm use. And then as of July 1, you will be issued this new farm placard for certain vehicles. So this is old. This is the old way. You're gonna see in a minute that you'll still be able to use this way on some of your vehicles. Some of them can, some of them can't. So, no person, this is for use for agricultural, horticultural purposes. This is the same code section 462665. It deals with your regular old-fashioned farm use plate. And this is going to be the same section that puts into play this new placard that comes from DMV. So no person shall be required to obtain registration, license plates, or decals, or pay a registration fee for a pickup truck, panel truck, sport utility vehicle, or vehicles having a gross vehicle weight rating greater than 7,500 pounds, and trailers or semi-trailers used exclusively for agricultural, horticultural purposes. So you see it's got pickup truck, panel truck, sport utility vehicle, or vehicles with a greater than 7,500 pounds, and trailers or semi-trailers. You don't see anything about Ford Escort, right? Any kind of car, anything like that. So this is all it applies to, this code about farming. This is all it applies to with farm use is these type vehicles. The cars and things are gone. They took them away years ago. I actually put a little excerpt in there where you can't use, it only applies to this right here. So with the farm exemption, just like always, this is the exemption in that section for farm use. Again, we're dealing with the red and white farm use. Crossing the highway, operating along a highway for how many miles? No more than 75, okay? Unregistered vehicle, no more than 75. Taking the vehicle to a repair shop, going to the track to take trash off, or operating no more than 75 miles for the purposes of obtaining supplies. Does that 75 miles, can you jump tracts of land with that? Can you, like you own a farm in Buckingham and you own one in Appomattox, can you go 75 and then start again from that next track and go can you do that? Absolutely. That's the way it's designed. Some people own farms in different places, so the 75 begins where you jump from there. Just keep that in mind with that too.
What if I live in Appomattox and there's one in Buckingham or Charlotte, I'm renting it?
That's fine. You own or lease it. Own or lease. So you're good on that. Okay? So that was a red and white tag that we've used for Lord knows how long, since I've been a kid, I reckon. Yes?
He has a question.
Can you go to the store and get a code of practice?
The new code kind of, correct me if I'm wrong, you may have read this too, but the new one does say something about stopping to, pick up something to eat, where it did not before. Have that really in there, but I believe in the new section it does bring up that point about stopping by them. But in that same store, you may be buying something for your cows or something, right? I'm just saying, it's left up to interpret. I mean, I've had one guy said he stopped a guy one night that was going in the food line at 11 o'clock, and he goes, "Oh, I'm buying ammonia because we got to clean up around the chicken house with your 24 case of Busch Light." But he bought 2 things of ammonia before he left. So it's all kind of up to interpretation with that. You know, if you're a legitimate farmer, you can pretty much tell. I mean, you can pretty much tell. My whole take on this whole thing years ago, they called around and said, look, we want some advice. You know, we're asking the road troopers, what do you think about this farming? These farm tags, we need to tighten up on the laws. I said, why don't you just make it like the F tag and make you show your Schedule F form to get it? All right, instead of making everybody come in there and fill a form out and just say, hey, look, you know, for $25, you get X number of these placards and you just show us your Schedule F form. That pretty much cuts everybody out that's bought 1 strand of barbed wire goat or chicken. It cuts them out because they're not claiming it on their taxes. So that pretty much solves the whole problem. But that didn't go anywhere, so I didn't get my claim. I was looking for my 15 seconds of fame. But anyway, so now, yes, sir.
Do you not have to have a title even though it's farm use?
Well, anything that's operated on a highway in Virginia has to be titled to the owner. Even if you are running the red and white farm use on there, it's still by law, anything that belongs to you that's operated on the highway has to be titled to you.
Okay, a lot of trailers do not have a title.
Right.
So how does that come to play?
Well, you're not gonna have to worry about it with this new, with this new plate. You'll be able to keep on with your red and white farm plates on there. That was one of the big hang-ups. People were gonna have a lot of trailers. They were gonna have to go. What you have to do is go to DMV and do an abandoned vehicle title. And you have to fill out a form, pay $30, and they reissue you a title in your name. Because it's basically an abandoned vehicle.
That don't mean for trailers.
No, not the new law. The new law's not
You
going,
know, if you don't have a title on that trailer.
it applies to any vehicle that's operated on the highway. It's supposed,
Pull the trailer, you don't.
I know. I'm just the messenger. But I know where you're going. I got one I can't, you know, I'm in the same boat as everybody else. I'm just telling you what the law says. It says you're supposed to have it titled to you. I found that out not the hard way on me, but I was doing some truck inspections and the DMV agent showed up one day and there was a guy had a spreader truck. So the guy got a title. I don't know. They run the VIN number and it come back not on file. So it should have come back to him. And then he got to checking, he's like, no, he don't have one. So that kind of created an issue for him just on that spreader truck that he didn't have to have tags on, but he didn't have a title on. So it's called an open title, riding around with an open title. And you know, this new stuff, it's not like July 1, every police officer in the state's gonna be looking for everybody doing this. It's not. This is gonna be a learning process for everybody.
I got a question.
Yes.
You have a stock trailer, you have a farm use tag on, you haul them cattle to Spotsylvania, Virginia, which is over 75 miles.
If you go over 75, it doesn't, by the code, you should have regular plates on.
Okay, is that, I was told that a crow's fly, it's a 75 miles.
This one's actually just 75 road miles. It gets into air miles with other things, but it's 75. It doesn't say air miles in the code. It's not air miles, it's road miles. So, you know, I'm just saying, I just gotta tell you what it says. But like I said, nobody's gonna be out there just, you know, waiting for this to happen and then jump off on it, because how long have we been using farm use forever?
I know you said that you can't, you know, loggers and that, but a farmer that cuts a little logs here and there and puts it on a farm use dump truck and hauls it to the mill, is that legal?
Well, if you remember, I went over the code with that about the products that were in there. That wasn't listed. When you get to the F tag, the registered plate section, forestry products is listed. So if you had a F tag on there and you were hauling forestry products from your farm to the mill, everything's okay. Now this is not listed in there. I'm just giving you you know, this is, if somebody wanted to put that, now would it ever go anywhere? Probably not. But by code, it doesn't allow you to haul forestry products on that farm use to the mill. The F-tag does, but the unregistered farm use does not.
Is there a difference in hauling logs to a mill to sell versus hauling to a mill to get sawed for your own use?
Could be. So you're getting them cut for boards for your fence, right?
Yeah.
So you're doing supplies,
Right?
right? You're doing supplies, not being a logger, correct? It's all in how you interpret. The law is all about how you interpret things. It was a very good question, and you were thinking,
I remember when I was a kid, when everybody had the red tags. I always heard if you were selling, it was different than if you were going to a mill for your own use.
it makes a difference. So keep that in mind. Yeah.
And another thing, like you're talking about the trailers and stuff is still gonna be legal to have the farm use. How are y'all gonna stop these people that go to the dump or anywhere where they're sticking the farm use trailer on and going?
Or running a lawn care business with farmers.
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, they changed this and made it so it's gonna be a hard thing. You gotta prove it. And there's a lot of loopholes in it. I said it's not perfect. The first way they started was heading that way, but it was gonna be a struggle on the legitimate farmer that had a whole bunch of stuff they had to do. That was gonna be a struggle. But, you know, I don't have an answer for that. I guess in order to get somebody convicted of operating in violation of that, which is basically an unregistered vehicle, you gotta have pretty good documentation in there. You got, he's hauling a lawnmower. I've observed him cutting grass at several locations in the town of Dillon throughout the day, and, now I know he's not farming. You gotta be able to explain it. You can't just say, oh, well, I think he's farming. Yeah, I go into court, but I think ain't gonna cut it. It ain't gonna cut it. You just can't do it. It's tough. It's gonna be tough on the officer as well as tough on y'all who see it going on, and then it's like, why, why? Yes, sir.
All right, you got the Virginia tag now, as long as we admit. Is that where you wanna have to get it state inspected?
No. I'm gonna go over it. But yeah, that's where we're getting to here. This is it. If y'all wanna pass it around and look at it, you can. Just come off my truck, so I need it back. I went to DMV and had this done. I don't have anything but one trailer's got farm use on it. Got a few cows, got a farm, me, my son, my wife. And I had one trailer I used for hay, I had farm use on. So I got this older pickup, and I said, I'm gonna go get this and see how the process goes. So that way I could better explain it to you. But this is what it looks like. You can kind of pass it
I
around.
thought you said that you didn't have to have that. for pickups and all. You could-
Well, that's a certain size. We're gonna go over the size. All right.
Now, these tags that we're passing around, when you go to DMV, are we gonna have to, prove that these vehicles are registered?
I'm gonna go over that too. I'm gonna get that form I passed around. We'll look at it. We'll look at it in just a second. All right. So this is a code that's starting in July 1. So unregistered farm trucks, pickup trucks, sport utility vehicles must display DMV issued permanent farm use placard. That's not a plate. DMV calls that a placard. Now, what's the problem with it? You're looking at it. What's it look like? A daggone license plate. Okay? Just like it. Why didn't they make it orange or green or whatever? But now we got a white placard that looks like a white plate. So it's gonna be some issues. So if you get one and a police officer accidentally stops you because you might not have an inspection sticker because you're exempt from that because it's unregistered, don't get upset, because I know it's gonna happen to me. I'm gonna go through keys when somebody's gonna probably stop. And just be nice, say that's got farm use on it. And they'll probably see it when they get out. But just try to help that, because it looks just like a license plate for the world. And unless you can see real good, you can't see that little farm use beside it. So the DMV issued plates, or placard is non-transferable, so it belongs to that vehicle and only that vehicle. So you can't switch it around vehicles. When you fill this form out, we're gonna talk about it's vehicle specific with the VIN number and the whole shebang on the form. As long as the owner or leasee uses the vehicle used for the farm use purposes listed above, it must be returned within 30 days if the vehicle is sold or taken off the road. So if you get rid of the vehicle, you need to turn the plate back in just like you do your tags on the vehicle. The cost is one time of $15. That's it. It's not every year. It's one time, $15. You got it to that vehicle. The placard, even though the placard's issued by DMV, it's still exempt from registration. It's not considered registration. They do not give you a registration card when you go in there. I was surprised. The lady said, "Look, I ain't got nothing to give you but this receipt." She said, they don't issue a registration because it's not registered. So I just took the receipt and folded it up and put it in the glove compartment to use as my registration. Basically, if you run that tag, if a police officer runs that tag, it comes back to you. It comes back to that vehicle. I checked it. Make sure. I was curious. I wanted to know. Cause I mean, I want to know what to tell you when we're here. So you still get to 75 miles just like before. Everything applies just like we were talking about in the last slide with the regular farm use. It all goes to that with it. A DMV, this is the vehicles that are exempt from obtaining this placard. So if you got one of these vehicles that fit in here, you don't have to get this placard. You can stay the same with your red and white farm use. All right. So a vehicle used attached for spraying fruit trees or cultivate, owner or leasee of the vehicle, farm machinery or tractor operated on the highway, which has been in there forever. The biggest one that affects everybody is this one. It says farm vehicles having a gross vehicle weight rating greater than 7,500 pounds. So anything over 7,500 pounds, GVWR, and I'm gonna show you where to find that if you don't know, you don't have to get the new placard. And also farm trailers and semi-trailers are exempt from the new placard. So you can still run the red and white farm use, which creates the problem like we talked about. Yes, sir.
How about inspection? They got all.
Don't have to be inspected. It's still considered an unregistered vehicle. No inspection applies. It's a placard, not a plate. So the only time you gotta do in Virginia get it inspected is when the vehicle is registered. So if you get an F tag, the registered plate, then you have to have an inspection with it.
Well, I guess I asked the wrong question as far as whether you have to show whether they're registered or not. You have to provide proof of title being in your name to get that tag.
You're gonna have to have a title to be able to get this plate. That placard that I'm passing, yeah, you're gonna have to have a title. That was the hang up before. Everybody had 30 vans that they were using to get up straw, and they didn't have a title for them, so they would have to pay $30 for each vehicle to get an abandoned title form done, processed, and then get a title for each one. That's what kicked out the trailers and semi-trailers, I think, was that part. It ain't as bad as it was gonna be. But yes, I agree. If they'd have left trailers and semi-trailers, it would have really been a mess. So that's why I could see the eyes when we were doing this before, like this ain't going for it. So, somebody else have a question? Yes, sir.
When you go with this, application, do you have to take your title with you?
Yes. If it's not already on file, where they can look it up, like mine was already on file because it was registered, so they could see it, so they didn't ask for the title. But otherwise, you're gonna have to show the title.
I still want to ask one more question
Okay.
about the title. I admit that I've got some titles in my safe that I bought vehicles
Right.
for farm
Right.
use that I never went to DMV,
Yes.
and so I've got the previous owners where they've signed it over to me. Is that sufficient, or do I have to?
You got the title where they signed it, yes.
Yeah.
You just gotta carry that in there.
Just carry that?
That'll get your title. You have to pay a fee to do the titling part.
But I mean, you still gotta get.
Yeah, to get it titled in your name, yeah, you're gonna have to pay it, to do that. that's the biggest thing he's got, you know.
That's the biggest thing, like you was talking about. The first thing the DMV is gonna wanna charge you is the sales tax on it, and it should be tax exempt.
That part I don't know about. I don't know anything about the tax part of it, but you're right. That's what you're gonna have to do. You're gonna have to carry that title in there. Sign it. So, looking at the vehicle, this is a vehicle you have, even if you may not like Ford or whatever, but this is a vehicle you got. So how do I know whether this vehicle needs these new placards that's being passed around or not? So you need to open the door, and hopefully the VIN plate's still there, and the cow ain't licked it off when you left the door open somewhere or whatever. But right here, where the little red arrow goes is gross vehicle weight rating. Which is the gross vehicle weight rating on that vehicle? 6,600. Is that over 7,500 pounds? No. So what does that mean? It's under. Means he's got to get a plaque. Okay? Does that make sense? That vehicle, you open the door, you look at the inside of the VIN plate. If it doesn't have one, and the VIN number is going to be up on the dash, go online and try to Google what that vehicle is. Most of your half-ton pickups are going to fit in this category, if not all of them. When you get to 3/4-ton pickups, that's when things start going up to over the 7,500 pounds. So most of your half-ton small trucks, SUVs, things like that are going to fall into this, I need to get this placard. Why do you reckon they kept it to that? Because a lot of people were abusing it that were driving these smaller vehicles. That's why it was limited to the 7,500 pounds. All right, how about this one here? GVWR is there. What's the GVWR on that one? 11,200. I didn't do good at math, but that's over 7,500 pounds, right? So, red and white farm use all day long still. Can do that. Yeah. Farming's exempt. All right, so now we take a little quiz. So this vehicle, would this vehicle be required to obtain and issue farm vehicle placard or continue using farm use? Which one? Placard, right. 4,500 pounds gross vehicle weight rating. I don't know. I used to know a guy could get a whole lot in a little Escort. All right, how about these?
Ray on like this.
That's right. Both of them, right? Neither one of them, you can still run. You don't need anything because their trailers and semi-trailers are exempt from getting the placard altogether by the code. So you don't have to worry about that. You can stay with the red and white. 75 miles is the same. It applies the same to that. All right, so you got that form in front of you. It's got DMV on it. All right. So this is a form that you can print it. If you go to DMV online, you can print it on, off at home, and then you can fill it out at home and take it to DMV. It's the easiest thing I've ever done at DMV. And so basically you go down and put your owner information in. If you notice on there, it asks for approximate location of farm. That was the weirdest thing I ever seen. Why don't you ask for my address? Why are you asking for the approximate location of the farm? Yeah, so that's what I'm saying, which one? So whichever one you want to put, I guess, is the way it's got it on there. What else does it have? Approximate location of, approximate acreage on there. What type of commodity you're raising is on there. Approximate acreage. And then you certify that you're the owner, the leasee of the farm, and they give you certain criteria down there that you have to meet. The only thing that's missing that I could find in there was they didn't put the 7,500 pounds down there in the list of items. They didn't tell you what type vehicles that it went on, but yes, sir.
So you don't have to show any proof of farm.
Ain't showing anything. Yes, sir.
My question, you said the address and all. A lot of farmers, like my case, I don't have a small area, but I lease a lot of land.
Just put the one that you normal, but I put my house.
I would put my house.
That's what I did.
They're gonna send me something, and it
Right.
comes to my house, so I put it down the road down
Right.
there, I won't get it.
Whichever, it just asks for approximate location, so it's not detailed as to where, where it is. I put my address, because that's where mine's at. Is that my address? Down here at the bottom on the left slide, you'll see the, you put the year to make, the model, and the VIN number. Put that in there. Then at the top here, you check the vehicle is insured by a policy, and you put the company name. I didn't have to show anything. I just wrote it down on the form and handed it to them. I didn't have to prove anything, which was completely odd. I thought I was gonna have to show that I actually had Farm Bureau insurance, but I didn't.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
If you don't have insurance, is that gonna,
There-
do you have to have insurance
Yes.
with this vehicle?
You're gonna have to have insurance for that vehicle. That was another part of this whole new law, was putting this in here to make sure you had insurance.
Because that came up in Farm Bureau
Right.
years ago.
That's all related to, you know, Farm Bureau made you before, they make you have it on every farm
If
vehicle
you
you
have
got in.
insurance, with you have.
Right. So this has gotta be, make sure that you got insurance on it. It says failure to furnish proof of insurance to a law enforcement officer within 30 days of the traffic infraction. So if you don't show insurance, if you get stopped and somebody asks you within 30 days, you don't show insurance, then you could get cited for not having insurance on the vehicle. So, I don't know, I was expecting to have to hand them an insurance card. And I had it, and I'm like, she didn't ask me. So I don't know, again, that vehicle was already registered and already had insurance on file. I don't know if that made a difference or not, but I didn't have to show it when the vehicle was already registered before. But just be prepared, that is there, on there for insurance. Yeah, certification in here that you are, you know, information you sign and co-sign, the placard number they give you will be at the bottom, and they'll hand you the plate. And again, there's no registration there with it, just that placard, plate looking item there and that. So, I know that's a lot to kind of take in, but you kind of understand where it's going with this. Make you feel any better? No?
So, my concern, just, my grievance over the whole thing is farmers are having to pay for this tag,
Absolutely.
plus pay for whatever they need to do to get it legally on the road, just to keep the non-farmers out of the picture.
That's right.
How is that fair to us having to pay for this process?
Every law that's been made is because somebody else messed up something for you.
I understand that.
It's just, this is what they give us to go with. They're trying to get a hold on it. I tell you what drew a whole lot of attention to this, and I was talking to a guy from Loudoun County that's a deputy up there at some training. They had some bad accidents in Northern Virginia related to this farm use stuff. So, and they weren't farming, and they killed people driving farm use with no insurance and anything like that. And that gets a lot of attention. So then they gotta do something, and then it's gonna affect the people that do right, but that's just what we gotta deal with. And that's the kind of things that bring these laws to light, stuff like that. But, I mean, I'm in the same boat. I mean, I understand it affects everybody, and it's gonna affect the person that does right all the time. But that's just the nature of the world we live in.
Can you go to like Paramount or DMV there, or do we have to go to?
You should be able to do these at any DMV Select, because this is a registration. The only thing, the driver's license is the only thing you have to go there to get taken care of, so you should be able to do that.
I got two questions.
Okay?
I do know that you're supposed to keep these vehicles up to par with state inspection, because you have no right to come over. If it's not up to it, you can get a ticket.
That's correct.
Okay. The other one is, how do you one by scale?
If you're driving a vehicle that's over 10,000 pounds, by state law, you're required to pull into the scales. That's just the way the state code considers that a truck, and so you're supposed to pull into the scales if you're over 10,000 pounds. For most people avoid the scale. Yes, sir. No, sir. Trailers and semi-trailers are exempt, even the lightweight. Only we're dealing with vehicles that are under 7,500 pounds or less. That's all you gotta worry about. No, not, trailers and semi-trailers are out, they don't apply to this at all. Yes.
Those of us with teenage drivers that do farm errands after school.
Right.
Can they drive that farm use vehicle to school on the way to taking care of business?
Oh, boy. That's a tough, ooh. I know where you're going. Now, the unregistered vehicle, this placard, and the old red and white farm use, does not allow you to drive to school. Even if you're going from point out, it still does not allow. I'm just giving you the letter of the law. It does not allow you. F-tag does. The registered F-tag does, but the farm use does not. I did have a guy one time that told me, well, my son parks a truck over here, and then he goes and gets fuel before he comes home. I'm like, look, man, I don't need to know, okay? I don't need to know for that. What this gentleman was talking about, keeping the vehicle up to be inspected, just realize in the code, it does say if the vehicle is unregistered, operating with these here, or the red and white farm use, that you can be stopped for no reason, just to check to make sure you are a legitimate farm. That is in the code. I have heard some judges don't agree with that. That they're the judge, they can do whatever I'll do whatever they say. The code says you can stop. So if you do happen to get stopped for that, just realize that you can be stopped for that. Yes.
I have two questions.
Okay.
Your big trucks, like your 2-ton dump trucks and stuff, where does CDL fall in that category?
So anything, we were looking at GVWR. So if you look at that GVWR, if it is over 26,000 pounds, that vehicle is considered a commercial motor vehicle. Now, farming gets an exemption from CDL. So you don't have to worry about a CDL within the 75 miles. If you're running the F-tag, you don't have to worry about a CDL within 150 air miles from the farm.
As long as you're hauling your
Own stuff, not for hire. If you go for hire, then the ball game changes and we gotta then we gotta go to regular tag, CDL, the whole thing. So it's, whatever's in there is your own stuff. But CDL does not, farming gets an exemption from CDL.
All right, my next question. You said 2-ton truck, you're hauling corn salad, chopping salad. You're running off-road fuel in it, but you gotta go 5 miles up the road.
All right, we're running under these, right? This,
So,
what you running?
red and white tail.
Red and white tag. All right. So not that we're running red and white tag, off-road fuel is fine because it's an unregistered vehicle. Even if you got a small truck and you're running under this and it runs on diesel, you can run off-road fuel because it's unregistered, okay? If you register it as a F-tag, that off-road fuel thing's gone. You don't get that anymore. But unregistered vehicle. And if you need, if you go to DMV's website, search undyed fuel, it'll pop up and show you that too.
If you have trucks and have tags on them, and you're hauling hay with them, does the person have to have a CDL?
No. F-tags?
No, I mean, it's got like regular tags.
Oh.
Company has tags on the truck.
Oh,
We're using it, hay.
technically it's supposed to.
Somebody in their truck to haul hay, from one farm to another.
So, I deal in state law and federal law. Federal law is state adopted, federal law for what I do for commercial vehicles. So that vehicle by definition is a commercial vehicle. Federal law will only exempt them from having a CDL if it's called a covered farm vehicle, which means it has a license issued by the state or a symbol issued by the state that allows them, to use it on a farm. That's federal code. The state code doesn't really, it just says vehicle, it gives you an exemption for farming, and it says vehicles used in conjunction with a farming operation, is what the state code said. It doesn't really break it down into the tags on the truck. It just says used in a farming operation. So that's the two things you're dealing with, whether you're running somebody that does what I do, and you're under federal code, it kind of gets thick with that. Honestly, you're probably not gonna have any problem. The question is, what's your insurance gonna say? Is it related to the farm, or is it related to another business? How is that gonna work? That's my only thing I caution. Cause civil liability, y'all don't know about civil liability. If you don't watch the news and you scold rude attorney at law, if you have a wreck and somebody comes in there and they say he's not qualified to drive and there's no real farm tags on there, is that gonna create an issue? That's my only caution. Would we understand? I would, but, not everybody's got common sense, so.
But to get to this, theoretically, you don't have to show any proof that you're a farmer. But you can.
Lie. You're exactly right. I thought when I got in there, I said, this is it, And if you lie in court, you'll lie on a DMV form, even though it's a felony if you lie on a DMV form and they find out about it. So you have committed a felony if you do lie. But, they do have DMV enforcement agents that I'm sure are getting educated on this and will take enforcement action on it. If they can get this, find people like that, and it's gonna happen.
Did they try to get the Schedule F to present that? They didn't even try?
Nobody never mentioned anything about it. I don't understand, cause who said they had a F tag? You had to show your Schedule F to get that, right?
No.
Didn't have to? I thought that was part of it.
No, it's the same questions here.
Same questions here. Okay.
Yeah, same question, just like that.
I still say Schedule F would take the whole, everybody, all the players that ain't really supposed to be in the game, they would have to sit on the sideline and watch. Cause.
But you gotta pay personal property tax on the F tax.
Yeah, that's
Uh-huh.
what they're doing.
Yes.
You got a business, you got a road tractor with regular portion tags or whatever on it, and you gonna decide you're gonna use it for a couple days to move, how you put your work on the farm, and does not have a CDL, but you take the farm use placard, the red and white, and just stick that on it, take the other tags off and stick that on it for a few days, is that legal?
I don't see why not.
Yeah,
You could, aside of the insurance,
Side of the insurance, the man on the farm don't have no CDL.
you just decided you wanted to do it on the farm, I don't see no real reason you can't. Aside of the insurance, something getting sticky in that, but yes, you're right. So he's giving you an out. He's giving you an out. All right, that's what the F tag looks like. The F tag has a few limitations. The F tag is only supposed to go on vehicles that are 7,500 pounds or more. What was that? Yeah, 7,500 or more. So you can't get them at DMV. Don't raise your hand if you already got one. I know some people that did, but it's okay. Whatever DMV did in the past, it's all right. But by law, they're not supposed to issue one to a vehicle unless it has a gross vehicle weight rating over 7,500 pounds. That's for your registered F tag plate. It can't be used for hire, and let's see, it is required to have a state inspection. I run into this a lot. I got farm vehicle plates. Not the same thing. Gotta have a state inspection on it because this one's what? Registered. This is not. Neither's a red and white, but that is. That F tag is. So you gotta have a state inspection.
Can you get, tags like that for your side by side to go legally on the highway?
No, because that's not gonna be considered a motor vehicle in Virginia.
If you put an SMV sign on the side by side, can you ride that on the road?
Yes. The state law, which is, I think it's 462915.1, it gives you what you can't do with all-terrain vehicle, but farming does not have to comply. It exempts farming from that. That don't mean you can ride, well, it don't say you can't ride how many miles, it don't even get into that. But that don't mean you can go with your buddies and joyride on Sunday afternoon, through 2 counties, just because you say, oh, I'm a farmer. Now, it's made for the farmer to go from one tract of land to another, by the closest route, not through town. But yes, you can for farming.
I was driving my Kawasaki mule down the road, and one of Cumberland's finest deputies pulled in behind me and followed me in, and he was getting me down the road. He told me, he said, if that was a John Deere mule, you'd be, John Deere Gator, you'd be legal.
He liked John Deere, not Cowside.
Yes, I told him, I said, it's the same thing, it's a different brand.
Yes, sir.
So you're saying the regular farm tag, what we've been using, you can put it on the side by side, you can go. from-
There's no real requirement for you to put anything on the side by side. But somebody, to keep people from giving you, questioning you, the farm use would work. The slow moving would work. You just get ready if you get stopped to explain, I got a farm, I'm going to this tract of land, for that. So, like I said, just don't get into the joyride. I had some people that wanted to get into joyride, and no, we can't do that. This is only in conjunction with a farming operation, you get exempt from those parts. All right, so with the F tag, this is what you can use it for. Pretty much all your farming stuff here. You see forest products, which originate on the farm, is on that side. Non-farm use, church or school, secure medical treatment, secure household and family necessities. So you can drive it around pretty much. What's the benefit of the F tag? Is what, half price of a regular tag? Is that right? Something like that? So that's the benefit of that.
Still gotta pay.
Yeah, you get 150 air miles with that one. You can go.
I got another question.
Yes.
I hate to ask
Hey.
this, but what if you take your stuff to the scrap yard? I heard up there, they with the Kimberly, they were getting tickets on these tags. Now, us farmers got junk.
Well, if you, yeah, I know, trust me, I know.
DEQ, once you clean it up.
Yeah, it says to carry, if you remember when we went through the slide at the beginning, it talked about carrying stuff to the refuge, waste and other products. I would consider the scrap metal being like waste from the farm, to the recycling place. I mean, it's either that or throw it in a dump. I mean, one or the other. So, I mean, it says you can throw it you can carry it to a dump and throw it in there, landfill. So, yeah. So, I mean, if you can, again, whoever's doing that's got to articulate. Now, those going into Kimbridge down there, is that what you're talking about?
That's what I'm talking
Yeah, a lot of them ain't farmers.
about. No, I agree.
And I asked a guy one day, like 12 washing machines on his truck. And I said, you dirty clothes up a whole lot? No, these come, I see, growing them? Because I mean, it's just, it's a crazy amount of stuff on it. It's like, nah, he won't legit. He's just trying to use it to get by a registration. So I don't see a problem with that because it goes into the, carrying your stuff off refuge facility or something like that. All right. More questions?